Welcome everybody. Welcome in. It's Wednesday. It's another day. And
There we
I don't
are.
even know
Hey,
what
we're
the hell
back. We're like magicians.
I don't even know what the hell I
Oh
was
my
even
god.
trying to say, man. It was just kinda like it's like, oh, it's a Wednesday, but it's not a Tuesday. It's another day. Here we are
It's
again.
okay. It's okay.
All
You're right.
right, well, right?
I'm
All right.
confused too, man.
Oh, my brain's confuzzled here. God damn it. All right, welcome in everybody to Odd Rhythm Fantasy Sports.
Damn it,
I'm your
Bobby.
host I'm your host, Jamie, and I got my lovely sidekick, Eli. All right. All since all that stuff was all through now, I'm just like, all right. Great God. uh,
So,
I
is Delilah trying to get on? What's up,
maybe
man?
is she? I don't know. That's probably your
Is
brother
Delilah
too.
trying to get in on this too?
Yeah, maybe she
Oh
might
man,
be. Well, everybody,
filthy mutt.
I know she always likes to bark at you, and you just barely walk around, and you pretty damn much. That's about the gist of it. You walk around, not even make one little pinky toe, and she's barking at you. She
Yep,
can
yep.
smell you.
Well, that's why Delilah needs to have herself a Stella. So this is I couldn't do the strong stuff tonight. Just gonna go with the beer here. But this, by the way,
Oh
this is my favorite beer.
God, you're nasty. Where's the hard stuff? You're supposed to do one hard shot.
I don't have any
uh,
booze, to be honest. That would
you don't
happen if
have
I
no
did.
booze? That's
I know,
that's a
man.
shocking moment.
Well, it's I run. Everybody knows I go out of town. Thursday and Fridays, and we're a day late. We second week in a row we've done Wednesday, so usually my supply runs out about Wednesday afternoon, and that's the way it goes. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yes.
man. It's I was gonna say quick. You know what? If you haven't subscribed to us, okay, or follow us on Discord, what the hell are you doing? Get on the Discord. We always have some interesting stuff going on. Obviously, with the blow up we had with Chad a couple weeks ago, and there'll be another one. There'll be somebody else on there trying to troll us, and we're resilient. We defend ourselves, and we defend our opinions as well. So yeah, go follow us on Discord. Get on there, talk a little smack. We're doing Sleeper, we're doing Facebook, we're doing YouTube, we're everywhere. So if you
Pretty
haven't,
close everywhere, yes.
Jay, where can they find us beyond? Where else can they find us?
Well, I mean, if you can't catch us on the airway or, the YouTube or whatever hell it is, Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, I don't even know what the hell it's called anymore. It's
Right, there's
called
so
they call
many.
us
There's two.
I know, right? But if you can't catch us live, well, you can always, check out that Spotify. I mean, that's my main go-to. I mean, we're on
Love Spotify.
Spotify.
Love it.
I love it. I love Spotify. I mean, I'm jamming out on Spotify all the time and whatnot. That's my favorite place. So give us a review on Spotify. Well, I think it's just stars. I think you can't. I don't think you can give us a review, but on Apple Pods, there you can give us a review. I mean, we would definitely would like a
We
review on
we
there.
we we need those. We definitely need some review, even if you make a fake one. People probably do that
Fake
on
one.
Amazon all the time. They make fake. You pay people to make fake reviews for you. So help us out. Help the
Yeah.
cause. Damn it.
Yep,
Man,
and then Google Pods as well. I mean, I know there's some Android guys and stuff like that out there. So, but yeah, you can find us in there. I think
couple.
yep. I think you can do reviews on Google too. I haven't really dug too much into that because I'm not much of an Android, or I mean, I kind of saw a little bit of it, but I mean, other than that, I mean, I'm an Apple Spotify lover, so yeah, check us out there. And I forgot to put our Discord link in the description. So our Discord link is actually in the comment section. So yeah, check it out. But anyways, yes. So today we are
Well,
actually hitting up
let me use
the.
this. Let me use this handy dandy phone real quick. Let's see. Well, that's what the Discord looks like.
It's
So
all
get on there. We're
it's all
that little.
white. It's not
I
black. I like the black backgrounds. Yeah,
I, I like white things.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff. You want to talk about prospects? You want to talk about the draft? Discord's got everything known to man. It's kind of a modern forum. for sports fans. So that's the best way to describe it.
Yeah, I gotta do a little touching up on that. I still haven't quite critiqued the Discord yet, but I mean it's work in progress. When you work all the time, so you try to hit it here and there, and might add some stuff, might delete some stuff. I don't know yet. So, but it's there. I mean, if you want to talk a little, XFL or USFL, it's all in there too. A little.
Yeah,
I have a small
I
small
got
some NBA stuff, but hey,
I got somebody, Jay. I got somebody that might be joining the XFL sooner than you think, and
well,
maybe I'll have a little update. Yeah, it's true. And I actually have a little update on how much money the XFL lost last season.
yeah,
Not
I've
not
seen
not
that,
good. Not good. No bueno.
but they said they might bring a turnaround. So,
I hope
well,
so.
who
I
knows?
hope so.
Yeah.
For Jameis Winston and James Robinson's sake, yes, I hope they do.
But so today we actually hitting up the AFC North. So if you didn't catch our last stream, we did the AFC East. So you can go back and actually check all that stuff out. So yeah, and that's kind of our preview of what the AFC East will kind of look like. We had our pretty much rankings of each team. We kind of dived into those a little bit, some little sleepers here and there and whatnot. So pretty much we're kind of doing the same thing too for the AFC North. Eli will pop up his sleepers or rankings, and we'll have some sleepers in there too. But other than that, I mean, we'll just kind of discuss
Come to
everything.
me.
Kind of, maybe we'll have some disagreements. Might not. Who knows? We can't agree on
Well,
everything. We just can't say the AFC North is just a great place to be. But come on now.
to be transparent with you guys, and it helps us too because me and Jay, like I said, we work a lot. So, some weeks Jay works 7 days, some weeks I work 7 days. So, sometimes it's hard to get content up and make sure that this is at a certain level, graphics and all that good stuff. So, we waited an extra day. We were hoping Tim, from last week, we love Tim, hoping that Tim might join us for the debate tonight, but. I guess Tim had plans. So, and
Yeah,
Donovan's been busy with baseball. So, just be
yep,
two of us.
yep. Just the two of us. Just the two of us. I don't know. There's a song or something like
We
that
can
out there.
make it if we try. Just the two of us, you and I.
There we go. But no, yes, Tim had some things change with some of his family stuff, far as I think their events, far as sports or something like that. He mentioned to me, so I'm like, I told him I appreciate you getting back to me. He wanted to join us, but some things changed, so I think he was maybe hoping to join us tonight, but yeah, unforeseen circumstances, he wasn't able to. So, but yeah, other than that, I was gonna catch up with some. Guess we can kind of bring up some. I was actually gonna try to do some NFL news quick, or
Yeah, yeah. Do it.
yes. So I'm sure most of you guys heard, this morning, that Diggs had some issues, some conflicts with the team inside, not football related, but something going on internally. So I guess supposedly that
Is he,
got it all figured out. I'm not sure.
is he,
Supposedly, Good
okay.
Morning Football was all over something going on, and Josh Allen was backing him up, and saying that maybe he can do something better, and who knows?
and Josh Allen, to quote Josh Allen, I fucking love him.
Right?
I think Diggs, he's high maintenance, but the guy's great. Just give him a hug, maybe give him a little extra money, and he'll be
Yeah,
just fine.
yeah.
Otherwise, his brother's over in Dallas. You know how good Trayvon Diggs is. Could very go Lions. Yeah, yep. Hey, maybe Diggs ends up as a Lion. Who the hell knows? But yeah, you got to take care of your guys. It's star treatment. He's the second best player on that roster behind Josh Allen. So you take care of your guys. And we were just talking about the importance of Diggs last week when we were doing our fantasy rankings. So take care of the stars, man. Whatever you need,
Yes.
hug, clean out his pool, like something.
No,
Maybe
no, no.
hook him up with Stella. Maybe a big case of Stella.
Well, good evening, Jared. How are you doing? Hopefully the weather is better over there than it is here. It's kind of cloudy over here. I think there's some forest fires or something up north again or something. So I don't know. It's a little foggy, a little hazy down here.
Got fucking Smokey the Bear here. Only you prevent forest fires.
But yeah, Dawson Knox hurt his leg yesterday, so we'll kind
Does
of.
that shock you?
No, that's what I mean. So Kincaid, there we go.
Kincaid.
He's
we
coming
called
around the
it.
corner.
That's why you listen to Out of Rhythm. We called
Yeah.
that shit. We said Dawson Knox is going to get hurt, and then Dalton Kincaid will find his way in the starting lineup by some point in the season. It might be day one.
Yeah, more than likely. See, Bateman wasn't at practice. He needed cortisone shot. Um, let's see what else was there. James Robinson was actually cut. I think we actually mentioned it on our last show, and maybe I don't think I said cut. Maybe he gets sent down to the practice
Oh, he
squad
got
or gets
he got
cut.
sent he got sent down all right, Jay. He's getting sent straight to the XFL.
Well, you never know. I mean, he's still young though. I mean, I'm sure there's somebody out there that could use the back, and maybe the Panthers, maybe
I mean, I
the
don't get it.
Buccaneers or
Yeah,
or
well, yeah. I mean,
Broncos.
with our running back situation, yeah. I mean, he'd probably be the backup running back, but it's just it's crazy, just the fall from grace. I mean, this guy was the 2020 Rookie of the Year. 3 games in the last season, he was the number 3 rusher in the league. He was just. We had no indication that less than a year later that this guy would be out of the NFL. I think he's done. I think he'll be in the CFL or XFL or USF, some
There you
minor
go.
league program.
Jared says it. He says, Jared says
There
Michigan
you go.
Panthers, maybe for Robinson. So there you go. Maybe he heads up the USFL. Keaton Mitchell was drafted by USFL team, but I don't think he ever played because he was NFL bound. So I don't know if that.
The New Orleans team.
Yeah,
took
yeah,
Keaton
yeah.
Mitchell.
Well, I saw that, but I don't think he ever played or anything like that because I was trying to keep an eye on that, to actually see if he actually played or not. But I'm not sure because since he was NFL bound, maybe that's a conflicting of interest or something like that. So I honestly, I'm not sure exactly how that goes. So, but yeah.
And we're gonna get to Keaton Mitchell here in a little bit when we talk about the Ravens because he might be a little sleeper of mine.
Yeah. And Barkley hasn't signed his tender yet, so I think he's not at minicamp yet either. I think I'm trying to think what else there was. And well, there's one more NFL news, but we'll get that later into a team subject.
That's
so.
fine. I was gonna say quick, Jay. I put something in the bottom that kind of went, tied in with the Saquon Barkley situation about him and Josh Jacobs, being franchise tagged. Both aren't happy. Obviously, long-term deals. Cat got my tongue right now because neither of them are getting deals. Nobody's paying a running back. Damn it!
Yeah, that's what it seems like. I mean, Cooks is out there. He mentioned he wants to be valued by some team, but I mean, no one's going to want to.
Yeah.
He's going to be with the crazy funny part about that is no one's going to want to pay him right away. I mean, he's going to probably wait until almost till season starts. He probably won't have any training camp or anything like that with some team like he normally does or whatever. So he might be playing in a 1-year deal this year maybe. If not, I don't know if he'll sit out, but I mean, he's actually there's an opportunity for him to play this year, and maybe somebody else gets injured and he lands with a deal in 2024. But it's hard saying. It's hard saying.
It goes back to the Le'Veon Bell situation. Don't pay. Yeah, I agree, Jared. I agree 1,000%. We're going to talk about Keaton Mitchell here in a little bit. The guy was undrafted, and me and Jamie both think that he's got a good chance of jumping up Baltimore's depth chart in front of some of these clowns and possibly starting maybe a year from now or half a season from now. That's the state of the NFL. 5th round pick, Charbonnet from Seattle. Would anybody be shocked? If he was their starting running back by week 6 or something? No, not at all. And he wasn't a 1st round pick. Guy you spend a bunch of draft capital on or money. You don't pay a running back. And I was going to bring up the Le'Veon Bell situation. I know it's been quite a few years, but he kind of set the precedent. Like, hey, you want to play these games? You want to get paid? You want $15 million a year? You're out of your mind. And they shipped his ass to the Jets, and he was never heard from again. He was mediocre for a couple of years and out of the NFL. And Saquon has got a lot of talent, but he's also has an injury history. I wouldn't pay him. Josh Jacobs, a little younger, a little healthier. That's a tough one because of what he meant to the Raiders last season. But I mean, in the big scheme of things, I mean, the Chiefs won with no running backs basically. Pacheco is like average at best.
He is.
Miles Sanders is a good back. He ain't great. And the Eagles were the other Super Bowl team. Look what San Francisco NFC champ NFC Championship game. They were with a bunch of late round picks, Elijah Mitchell and guys like that. So, yeah, you don't need a running. Do not pay the running back.
Yep, that's what Jared says. Number one NFL GM rule: do not pay running backs. And you can totally see that too.
Jared,
I was yep. I was I was watching that's where I heard I was watching Good Morning Football, whatever GMBF, whatever hell you want to call it for short. But they were discussing the whole Delvin Cook thing, and it's kind of like, well, no one's going to want to pay him right away, and I have to agree with this too. I mean, take a 1-year deal, minimum salary or whatever, and go play, dude. Stop messing around and want to be, you know, the highest paid running back, and it probably won't happen.
he's a he's a. I don't mean to cut you off, Jay, but he's a Florida boy, right? Like Miami, they've got some running backs in the room, A-Chain and Wilson and those Mostart, those guys. But Tampa, Dalvin Cook, I mean, there's a good chance. I mean, as weak as we are at a lot of positions, we've fallen off the last couple of years. Dalvin Cook, I mean, he'd have the number one selling jersey. He comes in day one. He's RB1, no questions asked. Bucks might even give him a couple-year deal. Why are we not in negotiations with Dalvin Cook? I don't know why the Bucks aren't on his radar. I know he wants to win a Super Bowl, and Bucks are far from that. But I mean, Florida's got no state income tax. He can come down there, put up his stats, make his money. I don't get that. And I'd welcome him. I mean, I know he's got a little bit of an injury history, but Dalvin Cook, he's the third most productive back, I think, since he came in the NFL. I mean, the guy, he's very, very, very productive. So
what about the Broncos? The Broncos need a running back.
They got Javonte. And,
yeah, but he's coming back from a serious injury.
Yeah.
And they got P. Ryan. P. Ryan's kind of, I mean, he's not really a 1A. He's not an elite guy.
But Sean Payton, I mean, he's taken a lot of B level running backs. B. That's all, folks. B. But he's taking a lot of guys that aren't A level guys. I mean, look what he did with Alvin Kamara. Alvin Kamara wasn't the same running back with Dennis Allen last year than he was with Sean Payton. I mean, and age, and you can talk about other factors, but I mean, he turned Alvin Kamara possibly into a Hall of Fame running back with his system and his coaching. So, yeah, I mean, that would be a great landing spot if Dalvin was willing to suck up his pride. Like, hey, we're rebuilding this thing out in Denver. Come on out here, take a 1 year, $5 million deal, and come try to win a Super Bowl. I mean, that Denver team, they're going to fix things quick. I've been saying it for months now. That Sean Payton is going to fix things quick. Russ is either going to, adjust and get into get back to the flow of things, or they're going to ship him out. They're not going to dick around. You don't pay Sean Payton $20 million a year plus to go 5-12. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, most definitely.
There's no patience in Denver. They're going to fix that. And the Raiders are going to be bad. Chargers are always iffy with Staley. I think he's a terrible coach. So, I mean, it's only the Chiefs that they got to deal with. But, yeah, Dalvin Cook to Denver, great. That'd be a great spot.
Yep. Yeah, Jared, you have yourself a good one. We appreciate you jumping in and with a few comments and stuff like that. So, yeah, have yourself a good evening.
Just don't leave when we talk about the NFC North, Jared. We got plenty of Lions talk coming. That'll be a couple weeks from now.
Yeah. So it all comes down to how quick we want to push these out too, for everybody to go back and take a listen to and whatnot too as well. So it all depends on how quick we want to get these divisions out. But
we might. Yeah. Well, we might actually. I was gonna say quick, Jay. We might actually split it up. So we might do the AFC. Do the remaining, AFC South and then the AFC West, and then take a break like for a week and do a baseball episode. Maybe we can get Donovan on, or maybe it could just be me and Jay, or if somebody else wants to join us, kind of give it a break, a midway point, and then maybe after that, crank out the last 4 weeks. So that's kind of like the upcoming next 2 months or so for Out of Rhythm. That's what we're thinking.
Yep. I'm sure that's your brother. Delvin went to Miami Central. Well, yeah, they talked about that earlier. It was just the other day, Miami backs and stuff like that, and Cooks and Emmett was one and stuff like that. So just interesting to see a lot of,
it's all Florida. It's all Jacksonville. They got their obviously ETN. He ain't going there. But yeah, Tampa or Miami would make a lot of sense. Jay brought up Denver. Denver would make a lot of sense.
Yep. I'm just trying to think of some other ones. I mean, yeah, Denver's kind of hurting. Um,
Up that bullshit.
right. Hey, maybe Dalvin can go and maybe hit up the Ravens. Get rid of all those guys in there,
Get
and
rid,
then
get rid of all that trash. Get rid of Gus
and start
Edwards,
over. There
J.K.
you go.
Dobbins, all this trash, all these injury plagued 700-yard running backs.
There you go. Problem solved. And then you don't. And then you got Jackson. Lamar. He doesn't have to really run anymore. And you got
Yeah.
yourself a big backup bruiser.
Oh, dude.
Jackson. He can stay right in the pocket. So there you go. There's a win-win-win. I don't like the Ravens. I trash the Ravens any second I get. But maybe Cooks can go to the Ravens and solve all their issues with the running back. There
Quote
you go.
quote quote the Raven, nevermore.
Yeah. There you go. I know in one of our Zach, he's one of our late flight or group or geez, I can't even talk either. He's been in our fantasy league for a while. He's a Ravens
Got
fan,
that
and
bullshit you.
I know,
Clear
right?
your throat.
He's been a Ravens fan for I don't know however long, but I always give him shit about his Ravens, and he always has something to say back. So, but yeah, so I'm gonna have to tell him like, hey, dude, I just said maybe Delvin Cook to the Ravens will solve all your issues.
Hey, maybe I'll see him at the Easy Stop tomorrow when I'm delivering. So
Hey, you tell her that too. That'd be
I'll put that
hilarious. You'd
in.
be like, hey, Jamie says that Delvin Cook should be a Raven. What do you think?
I want to see his react. Yeah, I want to see his reaction to that.
There you go. I know it's been a while since I actually asked him what he was been up to, so he can actually maybe jump on with us, join us or something for a show. Because I mean, he's pretty knowledgeable. He's got something to say all the time too. So
Yeah, I think people would like Zach. Zach's a good guy, good people, and
yeah, he was actually in one of our pods
the
along.
original. Yeah, yep.
Yes, the original stuff that really hasn't really seen the light of day anywhere. So it
I don't
all
think it
stayed
ever
in
will.
house. Well, there was a few of them actually saw the light of day, but other than that, not really. So I actually, you know what's crazy? I did a mock draft here just for shits and giggles while I was working because I was bored. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna do a mock draft here because I'm kind of curious where Bijan might go or where he might land, what you know what pick he might actually go in, and I actually did a 12-man mock draft on Yahoo the other night, and so this is. I'll just give you a quick rundown of my team. It wasn't the greatest. This was just my first mock draft. It was kind of lousy, kind of shitty because I was just trying to get name recognitions and try to get some guys in my queen and stuff like that with the limited because mock drafts on Yahoo go like they give you maybe less than a minute or whatever, like 30 seconds to make your pick or whatever. So I was trying to go through all the lists and try to eye down guys I might want to try to target and see if who goes undrafted and stuff like that. But so my first pick was I went with Barkley. Second round I went with Allen. Third round Higgins. Fourth round I went Gibbs. Fifth round I took McLaurin. Sixth round I went Ayukin. Seventh round I took Pittman. Eighth round I actually got Marimuth. Then I went number 9. So in the ninth round, I actually got Jordan Addison in the ninth round. Then I went so in the 10th round. I actually took C.J. Stroud in the 10th round. Then I went. So now this is kind of my bench. I went Quentin Johnson in 11th. I went Dalton Schultz in the 12th, and I actually ended up picking like Jonathan Mingo in the 14th round. And then I just pretty much Washington and Riley Patterson for a kicker. So the last two picks. So that was kind of my team. But I was kind of watching. So our first pick off the board was actually Jamar Chase. He went off the board pretty quick. McCaffrey went after that. Then just Jefferson was the third overall pick. And we saw Patrick Mahomes. Then we saw Chubb fifth. Jonathan Taylor went sixth. Eckler went seventh. I took Barkley at 7 or 8. And then Bijan went off the board at 9. And then we had Kelsey at 10, Tariq Hill at 11, and Cooper Kupp at 12. So that kind of gives you an idea of what my guy, the team that I drafted, and kind of the first round. So
I got a few comments on. I love everything. I love your entire draft. That's the same team I would have taken, except I'm not a big CJ Stroud guy. Everybody else on that team, I think you got great value for. I think that's got to be an age. I don't know who was. You said it was Yahoo.
yeah, they gave me
They
a
great.
C. They gave me a
They
C
great.
minus.
See, I mean, they don't know what the. I've been saying this for a couple years about
Yeah,
Yahoo. They don't know how to rank these drafts. Damn it, that is
yeah,
like an A minus draft. That's exactly who I would have taken. Where they were taken. I mean, people got a lot of confidence taking CMC at 2. He's
yeah,
healthy for half a year, and,
yeah,
and people are like he's back. No, that's a that's too high. I mean, you don't pass up Justin. I mean, if CMC had gone like maybe 4 or 5, I'd be totally fine with that. But you don't
yeah.
pass up Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson should have went 2.
Yeah,
No, I
and
mean,
I think that's gonna be a lot of this year's talk is, well, Chase be first, Jefferson be first, and there will be, and I'm sure there will be a few teams, a few things in there where Jefferson goes first, then Chase, and then maybe so that gives you a small idea. But there's more drafts to be coming, more mock drafts and stuff like that. I'll give you a quick on the second round here, quick.
invite me next time. I want in
I
on the fun.
Well, we'll have to do so maybe in an upcoming future episode or a stream. We might actually get on Sleeper and do a small, maybe a small 10-man or 12-man mock, and
Let's
just
do it.
kind of, and we can talk through it and whatnot too. So I mean, that could be in a future stream here, upcoming. Because sooner, in the next month and a half or so, there can be a lot of people doing some mock drafts. So, and I know we did a mock draft last year, and maybe we'll try to get some more guys in join our mock while we stream.
I
Um,
like I like it. We're doing different formats too. We did Dynasty,
yeah,
regular. We did the rookie Dynasty. We're gonna do like Jay was saying, probably a 12-man, maybe 10-man, maybe both. Just
yeah,
kind of give variety because I mean the most popular leagues, we want to hit 10, 12,
yeah,
16, 20. I don't know, 14 is kind of not as popular, but a popular. Try
yeah,
to hit all different formats so
yeah.
that people can maybe a keeper, maybe even do a keeper dynasty too, or a keeper draft. So,
And
our basis.
well, yeah, I mean, keeper, we can just kind of you can kind of touch base on that because I mean, the one you were in before that keeper league. I mean, it just pretty much comes down to guys who you want to keep and whatnot for the next following year. So,
I don't plan on getting fired from this one.
right? Um, I'll give the second round quick, and then I'll just kind of leave the rest hanging because we gotta
Yeah, yeah.
we have a nice division preview that we got to talk about, and that'll take a good majority of the time. So second round, right after Cooper Cup, went Diggs, and then we Garrett Wilson came off the board, Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs. That's when I took Josh Allen in the second round.
Somebody
Um,
took Henry over Jacobs. Yeah.
yeah. I think these could be flip flop. I mean, I would personally probably take Henry over just because Henry's more of a bruiser than Jacobs, taller guy. He'll give you, he's kind of a,
I
you
worry
know,
about his age.
yeah, that too.
That's the only thing I worry about. Derrick
Yeah,
Henry's a monster, but I
yeah,
worry about his age. Like,
yeah. So pretty much off to Josh Allen after I drafted Josh Allen. We had CeeDee Lamb, Devontae Adams, and then Damian Pierce came off the board. So I mean,
ooh,
that's probably like the sixth running back
that's
off the
that's
board.
bold. I mean, I like the pick, but that's bold. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
that's higher than I thought he'd go.
yeah, yeah. So yeah,
Middle of the third, late third. Like he was almost taken almost a round higher than what I would have taken him. But yeah,
yeah,
that's awesome though that somebody pulled the
yeah,
trigger like that.
yeah. I mean, and then AJ Brown, um, Amon St. Brown, Brees Hall, and then Tony Pollard. So pretty much Damian Pierce went ahead of Brees Hall and Tony Pollard, which probably shouldn't have happened.
No,
Yep.
absolutely not.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So that was kind of gives you an idea of the second round, give or take. So I mean, Pierce a little high, probably someone would probably reach for him more than likely.
Must have been a
So
Texan. Must have been a Texans fan. There's only about 10 of them in the country, so
yeah, yeah. Well,
he
and
just
everybody,
happened to be in that mock draft. Yeah.
yeah, and this wasn't like I did this mock at like 3 o'clock in the morning, so everybody was pretty well active. So there
Oh, he was
was no one,
tanked.
probably more than likely. But I mean, that was just a slight little preview on that, anyways. And I just thought that was, kind of get a little hint of a mock draft in there before we kind of get into everything. So kind of adds to the show, and it kind of gives some conversation to you a little bit. So yeah,
Yeah, boy. Yeah,
yeah,
baby.
that's about right. So where do you want to start first?
That's funny you should ask. Uh, I was talking about them in the lead up. We might as well start with them. Got the Baltimore Ravens. Yeah, there we go. Here we go. See that? See it? See, it's like one of those wallpapers. That's like the same piece of wallpaper, but it's just spread out. I did the Dolphins and Jets. Few of the graphics last week a little bit different, but I mean, I thought it'd be it's like a scroll or something, a snapshot. Polaroids. That's what I was thinking of. Remember the ones from the little booth?
Yep.
Anyways,
Oh yeah.
nobody gets it. It's fine. Lamar Jackson, no questions asked. Lamar is the bee's knees. Former MVP. He got his money. I think he's going to be somewhat happy. High, per season highest paid quarterback. So I think Lamar is going to come in healthy. I think he's going to come in happy, which is great for that because they don't have much else other than Mark Andrews. So maybe Isaiah Likely. But I'll finish up these five and I'll get your thoughts, Jay. So Lamar, he's the most valuable Raven. Definitely tier 2 at the worst for fantasy quarterbacks. Not quite Mahomes, but he's right. I would say at this point Jalen's a little bit better, just a little shade below Jalen, but still top five fantasy quarterback. Mark Andrews, top 5 fantasy tight end. I mean, this guy, if he's healthy, he's a monster. Travis Kelce's like all time. I mean, Travis Kelce might go down as the greatest tight end to ever play, football. So there's no shame in being, the second best fantasy tight end in the league. And you could argue that. I mean, Hawkinson from the Vikings is good. A few other guys, but I think Mark Andrews, when he's healthy and on, he's number 2. So he's the second guy. After that, I don't have much. I mean, I'm not a fan of their running backs. Neither is Jay. Not a fan of their receivers. They don't have a lot of skill position guys that I'm in favor of. That J.K. Dobbins kind of by default. Just oh god, I have some. You know what? I had a board that I made up when I was making supper. Just to be frank with you, I don't remember. I think he was. I think J.K. Dobbins was a tier 4, like a high end tier 4 running back. I think he was number 18. So they're not that low on him. I mean, he's not a scrub, but of the backs, I mean, Gus Edwards and a couple other guys on the depth chart. I know they've had Kenyon Drake before, but if Dobbins stays healthy, he's decent. Could possibly put up 1,000 yards, but I doubt it. I mean, more in line with maybe 800 if he's healthy. Zay Flowers, the rookie, kind of by default. OBJ, no, Eric, no, not a fan of OBJ. I think it was to appease Lamar. Bad signing. Guy shot. I know he had a miracle run with the Rams a couple years ago in the playoffs, but he shot. I don't trust his health. I think you're looking at a 400-yard season from OBJ, really. And you could also, they're kind of interchangeable. Jay might talk about that in a second here about between Bateman and Flowers. I don't trust Bateman's health. If Bateman was healthy, he'd be, a consistent receiver. I definitely put him in the number 4 spot because he's got number 1 potential. He's just not on the field. I don't trust his availability. So, and I don't know, Zay Flowers was a stud at Boston College, and, we'll see what he can do in the NFL. And so I'm keeping that open-ended here, and, he'll be kind of my surprise sleeper at number 4. And I love Isaiah Likely. He is the best backup tight end in the league. I know that's kind of, like being the smartest kid with Down syndrome. I get it. But if Mark Andrews, we're going to get canceled now. If Mark Andrews was to go down, Isaiah Likely is a damn fine fill-in. You're not going to drop off much at all. And
no, I don't think so.
They didn't last year. I mean, Likely stepped up very nicely when Mark Andrews was hurt for those couple games. So Isaiah Likely, if he was anywhere else, he would be probably a top 12, top 15 tight end. This guy is that good.
Yeah.
And I put him at number 5 just out of respect for Baltimore's tight ends because I love their tight ends. Don't like their running backs or receivers.
Yeah, I mean, I know I think we kind of mentioned about Likely a little bit last stream a little bit. But yeah, I mean, there were spurts where Likely actually had some decent games. I think there was one game he actually had 100 yards and a touchdown, I believe. But if you think about it, I mean, look at their roster. Look at their roster. Nelson Aguilar, Bateman, Odell, um, some Tariq Black, Shamir Bridges. There's some guys, there's some rookies. You got Duvernay, Andy Isabella. I mean, Mike Thomas. They got Treadwell. Come on, I mean, this is their freaking wide receiver core.
These are like has-beens, never was
I
a draft bust like Treadwell and Michael. Are we talking about the same Michael Thomas, the guy that put up 149 catches? Like, just the guys past their prime. I mean, that's what we're looking at. So
I
I don't see why you would, take a flyer on a Zay Flowers, take a flyer on a Keaton Mitchell, who was an undrafted running back. Jay has been talking about him for months. I mean, we were talking about him towards the end of last season. I think my stream. There we go.
I think it's just your microphone, or I mean your webcam. That's all. No, you're still here, bro. I mean, other than that, I mean, it's he was talking about Keaton Mitchell. I mean, if they're all their wide receivers, they're 30s, in the 20s, 20s, 23, 25s. Andy Isabella's 26. So it all just really honestly varies. I mean, I just don't like any of their freaking wide receiver core. The only guys I maybe you might take a risk on is Bateman. He was injured last year. He only played about four or five games. Duvernay was up in there for most of the season. He didn't play well. Um, then we got Zay Flowers, the rookie. He actually, I'll talk about him in a few, but but these are just their wide receiver cores. I don't like any of them besides just a couple guys I just mentioned. Beckham, I'm kind of iffy on. I know a lot of people are gonna be all over Beckham. I'm not sure. I think maybe he could see 600 some odd yards. I don't see him getting 1,000 yards. That's for damn sure. Um, I think he'll at least probably get 5 or 6 touchdowns in this season, but I don't see him being a 1,000 yard receiver this year. Target wise, it's hard. It's really hard saying between these guys. I think a lot of them they actually tend to more gravitate more toward the tight ends. Um, what the heck was I going to say here? So the Ravens' offense was actually 16th overall. Their pass yards was 30th, and their rush was second in yards. So the run game was all right with the both of them. That just because they had Jackson, he actually was just rushing off just nonstop. Um, but they passed 43% of the time. They rushed about 14% of the time, and their tight ends was just about as targeted as much as their wide receivers were, with 44%. So a lot of these statistics I get as well is actually coming from the UDK, which very useful when you're especially when it's coming to your, you know, dynasty drafts, just research in general. I mean, it's just kind of like your little, fantasy pros. Same thing, but just in a different platform. I like it, simple, easy. Um, let's see, Bateman in the last couple of years. Um, he was actually in 2021. He was actually 73rd, and last year he was 110th. Just overall wide receivers. Um, he was only like a top 24% of the time, which really is not that great for him. Even the year before that either. Um, but he was actually a wide receiver for 66% of the time. So it just goes to show that he wasn't involved much, not catching the ball, probably more likely dropping balls. So I mean, just overall, not a great receiver. So will he actually like turn it around this year with OBJ being there? Maybe this will give him a jump. Who knows? But other than that, Bateman's only 23 years old. He's still got a lot of time to get back to get himself recollected. Um, maybe a good 900-yard season, not 1,000. Maybe 6 touchdowns,
Yeah,
possibly. Um,
yeah, Jay, you a lot to digest there. You know what? Maybe I did that on purpose. Maybe I did it so that Jay would get some solo time alone. There, you got a few minutes. Word of advice: don't ever bump your head into your microphone. And it messed up my webcam there for a second. But yeah, I agree 1,000% with Bateman. If he's healthy, he's capable of a 900 to 1,000 yard season. But I don't trust it. Duvernay, he's good for a couple games. He's spotty. If you need a fill-in guy, I mean, look what he did the first couple games of last year. I mean, people were
Yep.
on this guy's dick, and not a lot to work with. I don't know. Do you think got like Gus Edwards will start at any point this season?
I'm sure these
Is
two.
there
I
any
mean,
hope for Gus Edwards? If you're in a deeper 20-man league or something like.
well, I mean, especially when you're a deeper
don't
league
know.
like this. I mean, yeah. I mean, these guys are gonna be taking a deeper league for sure. Especially in I know our 16 man that's gonna be coming up here, in the near future, and we'll probably talk about that too. But I mean, yeah. Overall, in general, I mean, yeah, it's these guys are gonna be taken, but I'm not gonna have no issue. I'm not gonna have any of them. You know, Mitchell, maybe if he actually gets in, one of these guys gets injured, maybe I'll maybe take that at Mitchell, but I have to see training camp and all that stuff. But I just wanted to say quick on Jackson, that he's a top 12 quarterback, 58% of the time. So I mean, you could
You
QB
trust
one.
Lamar. Yeah.
Yep, QB2 33% of the time, and a QB3 only 8% of the time. So you can, so I mean his value's up there. I mean he's a tier 2 guy. I mean not an elite guy, like Mahomes and that. So he's in that second tier guy with Fields and you know now I just lost my train of thought. um
It
Cowboys guys
happens. It
and
happens.
yeah, him
Burrow,
and Herbert.
Joe Burrow.
Yeah, Burrow. Well, Burrow's slight, almost elite, but not quite. He's borderline. But yeah, other than that, Zay Flowers, real quick, his rookie year, he's a his stats in college, in 2021 he actually had 746 yards. In 2022 he actually played 12 games too as well. He had 78 receptions, 100. He had 1,000 yards. His yards per catch is about 13. He had 12 touchdowns compared to 2021. He had 5, but his target percentage went up. 30. At 30% compared to what his last year in 2021 at 28%. So I mean, with maybe Zay Flowers giving them maybe a little bit spark, is he is Zay Flowers another the guy who went to frickin' the Cardinals? I can't, it's just another guy. I don't know. Trying to think.
Like Rondale Moore.
No, not Rondell Moore. The guy was Ravens who went down to
Hollywood Brown.
Yeah, Hollywood. I don't know why, Cardinals, whatever. But yeah, Hollywood Brown. Yeah. So maybe Zay Flowers can be a predecessor of Hollywood Brown and maybe a little bit be better. Maybe he could be, hopefully, maybe the number 2 guy there. Because I honestly, well, he'll probably be the number 3 guy. I mean, OBJ is going to be there. So yeah, that's just going to wash everything. So with Zay Flowers, yeah. So it's, I haven't really seen where Zay Flowers went. I was going to look at the mock where he kind of went. So I'm pretty sure you could probably get him in the top 10 round or 9th. I don't know. I was going to look back and see. So I'm pretty sure you get him.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
You could probably get him in the later rounds for sure. Just depends on maybe deeper leagues. It might be a little bit different, but smaller leagues, he'll probably be there in later rounds for sure.
People are going to take Bateman over him. I don't know why. Like I said, I don't trust Bateman's health. People are going to take OBJ because of name value. Like, oh, OBJ, a Super Bowl hero, and the Giant, all this. He's shot.
So more than likely, here's what's going to happen. OBJ is probably going to go first before Bateman. Bateman might get pushed down. Zay Flowers might even get drafted before him. Maybe it depends. Some might actually draft Bateman before Flowers, but honestly, it might vary. Flowers might even be drafted even before Bateman because Bateman, he struggled to stay healthy. Which you can tell. I mean, 285 yards last year, 2 touchdowns. I mean, not
Pathetic.
it
For
is.
a first round pick. I mean,
I
Baltimore,
mean,
they just they had a couple good years with Hollywood Brown and shipped him out.
yep,
I that was like Lamar's guy, but
yep,
stuff
yep,
happens. But yeah, maybe Flowers can take that role. That'd be great.
yep,
But I threw him in there. Yeah, you can swap a few of these guys. Definitely Bateman. You could put in that four
yep,
spot that I had.
yep.
But yeah,
You know,
I don't trust OBJ.
yep, yep. His target share was 17% last year. You know, he had a couple of red zone target. He had 2 red zone targets and 1 red zone touchdown last year. So I mean, just maybe some of this stuff amps up a little bit. Um, Maybe he gets 850 yards. You know, maybe 5 touchdowns. So it's hard saying. You know, we'll have to kind of see how the year plays out. Who's going to be playing what role? Who's going to be getting the majority of target shares and all that stuff. So that we'll have to kind of see for sure. But
Ah,
yeah,
it's a good transition point because coming up next, you know what? Let's talk about a sexier team that's got a few more weapons. Not many, but a few more. Let's talk about those damn Cleveland Browns. Let's hear it. Let's hear it for Mr. Chubb and the boys. Deshaun Watson,
ooh,
Njoku. Yeah, ooh. No, Nick Chubb. They actually have him, and Bijan's come in the league, and a couple other guys have jumped him. They actually have him. Fantasy Pros has him at number 9 for backs for 2023. I kind of disagree with that. I mean, he's a workhorse. I mean, I think he's got 1 or 2 years left at this pace. Where I mean, it seems like every time you look up, there's nothing flashy about the guy. He's not putting up 250 games and 2 touchdowns, or like Derrick Henry kind of games. But every week it's 100 yards. I mean, it's 98
yeah,
and a touchdown. It's 106 and a touchdown. It's 117 with no touchdowns. I mean, he's a consistent guy. You plug and play. I like consistency. You can't have that from every player because you're not going to win any. You're not going to win a fantasy championship that way. But Nick Chubb has always got a place, a special place in my heart. It'll be interesting to see if the usage changes at all. I know Kareem Hunt's gone. They don't really have a decent backup. I mean, so it'll be the Nick Chubb show, 100%. No,
yeah,
no
yeah.
that.
Yeah, but
Um,
I think there was somebody else that I think maybe it was a guy named Ford, maybe kind of rising up in there for a
yeah,
backup
Jerome
role.
Ford. Jerome
Yeah,
Ford.
yeah,
He might get a few, but there's a big drop off. Like in Baltimore, they're all kind of interchangeable. You know what I
yeah,
mean? They're all kind of about the same talent level and same production. See, in Cleveland, it's a clear cut. This is the number 1 guy. Amari Cooper, I actually have him above Deshaun Watson. Amari Cooper, Fantasy Pros had a number 15 for receivers, which I thought was about right based on the age. I mean, this isn't Amari Cooper from 5 years ago when he was with Dallas or the Raiders when he was an elite receiver. But he's still productive, still a 1,000-yard receiver. I especially in this offense, I think he'll still be the number 1 guy at least for another season. I love the Elijah Moore trade. I'm going to talk about him in a second. Not so high on Peoples-Jones, but Amari Cooper, yeah, should have 1,000 to 1,100 yards. And these are Eli projections. Jay might have a stat sheet in front of him quick, but if there's any difference in that, but I got Amari Cooper at 2. Deshaun Watson, Mr. Watson. He actually stayed out of trouble. He stayed out of trouble last year, got on the field for a couple games, looked
Oh
like
my
shit.
goodness!
I mean,
Oh my
he looked
goodness!
terrible. You look terrible.
Well,
This will be a YouTube short. This will be a YouTube short right here. Deshaun Watson looked terrible. He looked terrible. And they have him at number 10 for quarterbacks. Like a high end tier 3, low end tier 2. I don't think he's that. I don't think he's that guy from Houston anymore. I really don't. I don't. I mean, he still looks physically the same. He's still built, it's not, arm strength. There hasn't been any injuries. I don't think his head's there. I think he's just there collecting a paycheck from a dumb organization like the Browns that was willing to pay this guy, $46 million a year guaranteed for 5 years. Like, I don't know. I think that's way too high. There's some other quarterback like I like Jared. I'll be honest. I like Jared Goff. Where's Jared at when you need him? I like Jared Goff more than I like Deshaun Watson, and they've got Jared Goff below him. So that's just an example of a guy that I'm not a huge Deshaun Watson guy.
yeah, I mean, kind of picking
Go
on
ahead.
your Watson thing, and I mean, a Cooper, he was actually a top 24 wide receiver 47% of the time. So I mean, I think he kind of
He's
elevated a little bit more.
about half
What?
about half
Yeah,
the games he's a receiver too. Because if, let's say, on average there's 12 teams in your league, and let's say you're starting 2 receivers. I mean, obviously there's different leagues, flex and super flex and all that good stuff. But let's just say for argument's sake, for simplicity, 24 receivers. So that's 2 receivers per team, 12 teams. So that means half the time he was a top 2 receiver. He was a receiver 2, at least a receiver 2 is what that means. And that
yeah,
I trust that. That's like Nick Chubb. I mean, both these guys, Nick Chubb and Amari Cooper. That's why they're number 1 and 2 for the Browns for me. They're consistent. You have to have a couple guys that are you can't always have guys that pop. I mean, you need. I mean, you can get guys on the waiver wire that pop that you can't trust. 80% of the time. But I like guys that are half the time. They're going to be an RB1, RB2, wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2. Like, you got to have those guys on the roster, and that's exactly what Amari Cooper is. Deshaun Watson overrated. You can get to him in a second if you have any opinions other than the 30 cases against him.
but
David and
I was
go ahead.
I was gonna say with Cooper did he was a wide receiver for like 41% of the time too. So I mean he has his games and he has his wash games as well. So I mean it kind of trickles out. I guess it all depends on who they're playing, what DB's on them, and who's shutting them down and whatnot too as well. But I mean I would probably take a risk on Amari Cooper still this year. I mean with him still being good.
Especially especially at that 15 to 17. That's perfect for him. He's not a top 10 fantasy receiver, not even probably a top 15, but you can get some value for him, because maybe other people in your league that are drafting, maybe they aren't as high on him because of his age. He's starting to get up there. I think he's 29. Maybe pushing 30 now. So
I think he's close to being. I think he might be 30 this year. I think, but I know
that sounds about
close.
right, because he came in 2015, so he's got to be pushing in 30. I was gonna say quick. I'll close this out. Cooper is solid on slants, and now should have a solid season. Yeah, no, I mean that's great analysis, Eric. Man, it's I don't know what more needs to be said. I mean, the guy, he's half the time, you can rely on him, and that's good enough for me, because some of these guys you can't trust. You can trust them 1 or 2 weeks at a time. If I can trust a guy 9 games of the season that's going to have high level production, I mean, that's good enough for me. I mean, that's enough to get you to your fantasy playoffs. David Njoku at 4, damn good underrated tight end. Him and Freiermuth and a lot of those guys that are ranked in that same tier, 9, 10, 11 for those tight ends. Dalton Schultz is another guy I like a lot that's underrated. David Njoku, when he's on the field, he's a beast.
Yeah.
Not quite Travis Kelce, but I mean, you could argue he's right up there with Evan Ingram. Guys like that. Darren Waller when he's healthy. Like Njoku's not that far off, and definitely earns a spot on my top 5. And then Elijah Moore, love the trade. I think he's going to be this year. This year's Kadarius Toney, meaning that his second team he pops. Like, it was a bad fit, with the Jets, and Toney was a bad fit with the Giants. He goes to Kansas City. Now Kadarius Toney is ranked like the number 20 fantasy receiver, if you could believe it. I mean, he's damn near the 1 or 2 receiver for Kansas City. Like, he's worked his way up the depth chart. Had a damn good playoffs last year.
Yep.
So I mean, and people had written him off as a bust. I mean, people have kind of written off Elijah Moore, especially when they took Garrett Wilson and some of the other guys that came in, Rodgers and Lazard. They were just done with him, basically. And I like Elijah Moore. Him and Cooper will make a nice 1-2 punch. I think Elijah Moore can put up an 800 to 900 yard season. Definitely. I think that's
definitely.
Six, 7 touchdowns.
Yeah. I didn't really kind of get a projection on what I kind of thought overall, but
that's it. Yeah. I just
Njoku was actually, he was a top 12 tight end actually 42% of the time. So I mean, he was involved in the offense. That's a given. Tight end 1, pretty much tight end 1, 35% of the time. Maybe tight end 3, 35% of the time. So he was actually having more good games than bad games. So I mean, he was actually involved in the offense, which was crazy.
He wasn't bottoming out. Is basically what you're getting at with those stats. Is he wasn't bottoming out. Like, he wasn't having garbage. Like, when he was in the lineup, when he was healthy, he wasn't having 3 target, 1 catch, 18-yard kind of games. Like he was heavily involved in the offense when he was out there. And so that's a good sign, and I know they
Yeah,
like
well,
him a
I
lot.
mean,
They gave him that
yeah, I
contract. I mean,
mean,
they like him a lot there.
yep. I mean, on average, there was, his first game at 7 yards. I mean, 89, 73, 88, 57, 71. So more toward the end of the year, he kind of dipped off a little bit, but I mean, he was still getting targeted, a good amount of the time. So I mean, I'm sure that's where Amari Cooper came in, and Chubb and all those. I mean, it just depends on who they were playing. He was injured. He did miss 3 games out of that year too. But for him to actually finish, I think it was tight end 13 last year. That's not bad.
No, not at all. Considering some of the heavy hitters that are,
Yeah.
you got Mark Andrews and Kittle, and I mean, Hawkinson. The list just goes on and on. I mean,
Yep.
I mean, I would say that there are close to 20 highly productive tight ends in the league now. I mean, this
Yep.
isn't like the old days where you'd have four or five. I mean, there's damn near 20 of them now.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, Njoku, Marimuth, like I mentioned, I got Marimuth almost in the 10th round, 9th or 10th round, whatever which one it was. I mentioned earlier in the show. I mean, he's, I didn't see where Njoku went, but I know he probably falls in that same tier with Marimuth, which, hell, I mean, instead of if you're not wanting a tight end right away, these are guys that you could probably shoot for. I mean, I would go Njoku. I'd probably shoot more for Marimuth myself. Depends on what kind of the situation. If I had to, maybe I'll take Njoku. I mean, out of the whole crew of guys, Marimuth and probably Njoku is probably my favorite out of all the tight ends because I mean, I think it was Cincinnati doesn't really have anybody. Well, maybe likely in there, maybe. So I guess I was kind of overstepping my bound here real quick, but yeah, likely maybe. But that's if Andrew is. I'm sure Andrew would be taken. So yeah, likely maybe toward later rounds, double-digit rounds, especially in a deeper league. But I mean, there's a few good tight ends in here. Quickly on Nick Chubb, quick. He actually was finishing top 24 76% of the time. So I mean, even though with Kareem Hunt being kind of in there, not there, kind of here, Chubb was still being great. And he was racking up he was racking up the freaking points, man. Just chugging away. I mean, he never
Choo
finished an R.
choo.
He never finished an RB4. Never hasn't. So I mean, good
No,
majority of time if it,
doesn't have those trash games that are going to sabotage your week.
yeah,
Doesn't have those 10 carry 16-yard kind of games. That's which is nice. I mean,
especially like with these in division games where he might not have a great game, he might be possibly finishing RB3. And that's very slim, 23% of the time. So depends on if it's depends on who they're playing. He might not have a great game and whatnot. But I mean, yes, Chubb, totally love him. If I had an opportunity to draft him, hell yeah, I'll be all in on it.
gives me a chubby.
Right. Eric says PFF has the Browns O line at number 2. Yeah, they're not bad at all. I mean, their offense last year was 13th overall, which is not bad. I mean, their pass yards was 23rd, but their rushing yards was 6th. So you can tell they're more of a ground and pound, more good majority of the time. But I mentioned earlier they passed 56% of the time, rushed 17% of the time. The tight end was targeted pretty much 26% of the time. So I mean, it all just kind of plays a part, and I think they're kind of more. I think they kind of want to find a good balance. With they got some good weapons. Don't get me wrong. Now, I mean, the Browns are probably looking a little bit better.
And
I know.
I kind of mentioned him a few minutes ago, but yeah, I think Jerome Ford would be the sleeper. I'm not a big Peoples-Jones guys, as their number 3 receiver most likely, and I know they took a couple guys in the draft, but I'm with that offensive line and Kareem Hunt with his productivity, being the backup the last few years. I think Jerome Ford is going to have a solid season, and if something happen to Chubb. I think he could step. He's not Nick Chubb, but I mean he could step in behind that offensive line and have a few decent games for you. So yeah, Jerome Ford would be my sleeper, definitely.
I think since we kind of had a
Any
few
more?
guys.
Good.
Well, did you want to mention Elijah Moore toward in your last five, or were you done? Oh, you must.
I mean,
Were
I
you?
went. If you want to show the graphic
Oh yeah, it doesn't matter.
for more,
Yeah, let's do more quick. Let's pop up more. We'll pop up more, and then we'll do
okay.
Cedric
So
afterwards.
yeah, we'll do.
So since you had him ranked number
There we go.
5th, I mean I myself I did, I was funny because the year before I actually traded for Chase, and the guy that traded I got Chase from, he ended up picking up Elijah Moore. He kind of had a decent season last year, and then with Garrett Mitchell coming in, he didn't have a great season last year. 65 targets, 37 receptions, 144 or 100, pretty much 400 some odd yards and a touchdown. So he wasn't happy. I think Elijah Moore's only 23. He's got some potential. Now with him going to the Browns, I think there's good potential of him being the number 2 guy. Peoples Jones might take a step back, and I think Peoples Jones is actually in a contract year more than likely, so he's playing for a contract as well. So we'll kind of see how that kind of all plays in effect. So I mean, I like Elijah Moore. So Elijah Moore kind of stunk last year. I mean, he was pretty much a wide receiver for pretty much 93% of the time. So just goes to show that he was pretty lousy last year. He didn't do anything because they had
which is great because his value's never been lower. You know
yeah.
what I mean? He was supposed to be Garrett Wilson a couple of years ago. People forget how highly touted Elijah Moore was. I mean, you were big on him. I remember when you were talking him up. So
Yeah.
this, like I said, this could be a very very similar situation to Kadarius Toney with the Chiefs, where this guy just pops and he doubles those numbers. Maybe it's 70 catches, 880 yards instead of 1 touchdown. Like I said, maybe he's got 6. So and
Yeah.
that's a damn good season. That's a damn good, low end number 2. I mean, definitely.
Yep. I think I think he sees a little bit more. I think he sees a little bit more targets. I mean, yeah, I could see it maybe 700, 800 yards total, maybe 3 or 4 touchdowns tops, in this offense. So I mean, he probably more like a deeper player, probably more than likely number 2. It all depends too, honestly. But I mean, that's just me, the way I see it, the way they're trying to shake everything up, because Elijah Moore is going to be in there, and then you got Tillman and all that. So they got themselves some good, some good wide receivers to play off of. So I mean, it's going to be very interesting. That's a given, man. But I like Elijah Moore.
And but before you bring up Cedric Tillman, something just correlated in my brain. I remember that the Browns signed Jordan Akins, the tight end from Houston, who had a couple good games last year. I think he's a nice back with Njoku's injury history. I think Jordan Akins is a nice backup tight end. I think he could really rake in if something happens to Njoku. That's another guy keep in mind. For waiver wire stuff, if you're in the year to year stuff, I think Akins got, and he's not that old either. So I like Jordan Akins a lot. I remember him. He had a couple. You remember him from last year? He had a couple 2-touchdown games for the Texans.
Akins.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's the backup. He's the backup tight end now in Cleveland.
Oh, interesting. That's a given. Oh,
You want to talk about
yeah.
Cedric Tillman?
Yeah, we can get that popped up here, and yeah, yep. So Cedric Tillman was drafted after his boy Hyatt, which is totally crazy. These two guys kind of went back. Yeah, they both went from Tennessee. Yeah, Tillman actually, he's got on the graphic here you can see a few of his projections, a couple of projections, about 86 points, maybe a couple of touchdowns in there, try to learn the offense and stuff like that. But what I was going to say before, Tillman actually had a good year last year in 2021. He actually had 64 targets. He had 1,000 yards, and he actually had 12 touchdowns. So last year, Tillman in 2021, Tillman was actually he was great until he got injured, and then the following year he missed a bunch of games. Then he came back toward the end of the year, which is crazy. That's when Hyatt, who did, the year before, he didn't have a great year. Then the 2022 year, he had a blowout year. So these two guys pretty much, changed roles, pretty much. So Tillman, I think, yeah, he'll be replacing Peoples Jones before we know it. Um, I mean, he's a pretty much a bigger guy. I mean, he's 6'3". I think People Jones is almost in the same height as him. But I don't know, just crazy, crazy stuff, man. So Tillman, I think Tillman he'll be a small sleeper. I think a little bit.
Well, yeah, he had a big hand in Tennessee's resurgence last year. Obviously Hooker, the quarterback, and Hyatt, and Tillman. So it'll be interesting to see if that Tennessee program with Josh Heupel, if they continue, or if they just had a couple special players for a year and they go back to being like a 7-5 SEC team. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, Tillman might have been. I'm not saying it's an LSU situation where they keep cranking out these, like Chase and Jefferson are teammates. I mean, nothing crazy like that. But Tillman could definitely be the number 3 receiver soon. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think so. I think it would come down to now. It's you got if Tillman does boom, it comes down to, and it'd still be kind of hard too because you'd have Elijah Moore as a number 2 guy. Maybe after a couple years they get off Cooper, then maybe you got Moore and Tillman as your 1-2. Then maybe I can see maybe Tillman being kind of on the border, same cuss as Pickens, maybe. So maybe those two. So it all comes
Having
down
some
to
value. Yep.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of the other. I don't think the Bengals didn't draft any rookies. Far as wide receiver wise, I didn't see.
Nobody of note for receiver for
Yeah,
Cincy.
and then right, well, that, and so pretty much I think it comes down to Zay Jones and Tillman in that division. The Steelers didn't draft any wide receivers either. They had pretty much had Pickens the year before. So yeah, I didn't. Other than that, yeah, it just pretty much comes down to kind of some of the few rookies that. So would you take Zay Jones or Tillman? Zay Jones would probably higher in drafts. Tillman probably a value play.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, absolutely. Because we know kind of a commodity Zay Jones is, and Tillman, sky's the limit. I mean, even if he's a butt, I mean, I'd rather take my chances with where he'll be at. I mean, he'll have value if he pops, and if not, oh well, gone.
Yeah,
wasted pick. Okay, move on.
Pretty much. So a lot of these deeper leagues. So pretty much in deeper leagues, Tillman will probably be a later draft. More than likely a late flyer for sure. And I'm sure, with a little bit of here and there that he'll end up, you'll see a nice touchdown here or there. But yeah.
Speaking of touchdowns, we're gonna save. We're gonna wait a little bit to blow our loads here. We're gonna talk about the Bengals because Bengals are the most interesting offensive team. So we'll wait for them. They'll be the headlining act here. Steelers are up next. Nice direct support here.
The Steelers.
They're solid all around. Like they're not garbage at like the Ravens are garbage at receiver. Browns have kind of like the Browns where they're solid, solid all around. Nothing special. Najee Harris is probably a tier 2 back. He's solid, not great, but I mean he's really good back. Pat Freiermuth, me and Jamie love him a lot. Fantasy Pros, like we said, had him at the number 9 position for tight ends for 2023, which sounds about right. I mean this guy makes big catches. And Pickett's going to need him. Young quarterback. They love their tight ends. So I could see Freiermuth. He could have a 850 season, 850 yards, 900 yards for a tight end, which is damn good. A damn good season. But he catches touchdowns. That's the thing. He's not going to give you that Kelsey, that Hawk, Hawkinson production level. But he's on that lower end tier 2 tight end. Kenny Pickett. he's probably the weakest quarterback in this division, and I think everybody would agree on that. I'll see what he can do this year, kind of boost his numbers a little bit. I was going to possibly put him lower. He's probably the lowest ranked quarterback of anybody we've done so far, like of all the divisions, with Aaron Rodgers and Josh Allen and even Mac Jones. I don't even know if I'd put Pickett above Mac Jones fantasy wise. So, I mean, Pickett's probably the weakest quarterback we've talked about so far.
I would take
I mean,
Pickens. I would take Pickens over
close.
Jones.
Mac Jones and Pickett, they're close.
Yeah.
But yeah, Pickett definitely be there. And I potentially was thinking about putting George Pickens above him, but that's his quarterback. A quarterback receiver that look kind of dumb having the receiver open. But,
Well,
yeah.
well, everybody, we are actually live here at Auto Rhythm Fantasy Sports.
We're live.
So coming in, we're kind of midway point. We got a little bit left here and whatnot. So jump in the comments, and if anybody disagrees with what Eli's got to say, with his rankings or whatever, or dislikes, or or if you have some other guys that you think might be some guys that starters wise that you think should be ranked or whatever, so just some of that great stuff.
And then these are based strictly off, I look at statistics, I look at the eye test, I've seen, watch quite a bit of NFL, so a lot of it's gut feeling, and and I take other factors into consideration. Like I said, I love Fantasy Pros. ESPN's got some good rankings. CBS, there's a bunch of good outlets. So I get a couple different sources. But yeah, if you guys have your 2 cents like Tim did last week, throw them in there, put some comments there. But yeah, the 2 receivers, they're kind of like twins. They're kind of interchangeable. They're both ranked fairly similar. In terms of, I think Deontay's number 32 for receivers, and George Pickens is 37. So they're kind of interchangeable. I tend to like Pickens more. I think he's got a higher upside. I mean, Deontay Johnson, he's got that same syndrome that DJ Moore has, where he doesn't score any touchdowns. That's my biggest problem with Deontay.
Yeah.
Damn good receiver, but reliable. But he just he's not going to get you points because he doesn't score any touchdowns. And Pickett ain't going to help with that, because I don't think he's capable of throwing more than about 25 touchdowns. I think 25 is kind of his ceiling. And if he could make up for in other ways, if he could throw for some yards or rush, get a couple rushing touchdowns in there, kind of help his cause. But I don't think he's ever going to be a Joe Burrow, Mahomes, where this guy is chucking 35, 40, 45 touchdowns. I don't think he's that guy. So I would say Pickett, maybe 21, 22 touchdowns if he plays a full season.
I think he'll play a full season. So I think maybe mid-20s. I think that'd be fair enough for him to kind of for him actually getting mini camp or training camp, mini camp, whatever you want to call it. Getting some reports with his wide receivers and stuff like that he didn't have last year and stuff like that. So, and with them taking over the offense, Trubisky was kind of he had snaps there first, and then just all out bad, and then they just went with Pickett and just kind of won it the whole rest of the season. So, kind of give him some bumps and bruises, kind of learn from his mistakes and whatnot. So I think Pickett will kind of rebound this year. So I think a good 20 touchdowns is fair enough for him. 3,500, 3,600 yards passing. Probably a few interceptions.
Solid starter numbers. Nothing. Yeah, nobody's right. I'm not sure exactly where Pickett was going in draft. I mean, we'll do a mock draft coming up, and we can kind of get a good gauge on where he might be going or has been going. But I can't imagine anybody's breaking the bank for Kenny Pickett. So
I'm sure you could probably get him in before double digit rounds, probably more than likely.
And a lot of those touchdowns, I hate to say it because I like Pickens and even Deontay a little bit, but I think a lot of those touchdowns are going to be going to Freiermuth. I think quite a few of those Pickett touchdowns. I think that's his touch. I think I think Freiermuth is a better version of Dawson Knox. You know what I mean? Like where he's gonna be a touchdown guy, but he's gonna be healthy and he's gonna get you yards too. Dawson Knox never gets you any yards. It's just all touchdowns with him. But I think Freiermuth can kind of balance too, where he's every week consistent top 10, tight end.
Yeah. Freiermuth was a little bit better than Knox. That's a given. But
absolutely.
The Steelers offense was number 23 overall. Their pass was 24th. The rush was 16th yard wise. So you can kind of see that they're a little bit more ground and pound there. Their pass was not the greatest. They passed 57% of the time, rushed 17% of the time. Tight ends were targeted about 25% of the time. So you can kind of give or take on that right there, because you know if the rush game wasn't going, they were kind of at least trying to get these wide receivers and tight ends involved. With Deontay Johnson, or yeah, we're talking about those two guys. So I'll talk
Yep.
about those two guys real quick. Johnson was ninth overall in 2021. Last year, he was number 39th overall. But with Pickens, he was actually 36 overall. So he was actually a little bit better better than Deontay, which was crazy, just because he had some touchdowns in there, more points values anyways and whatnot. But George Pickens, yeah. Um Last year, Deontay he was actually a top 24 5% of the time. That was Deontay Johnson. So that was just kind of rubbish. He was actually a wide receiver for like
TU
84% of the time.
stink.
So I mean, it goes to show he had pretty much a kind of a lost season to a point, but yeah, he just wasn't involved. It wasn't
You know what
targeted enough and
that
whatnot.
screams? That screams backup or flex. Where it's a
Yeah.
bye week and you got to throw somebody in there. At one
Can,
time, maybe a couple years ago, maybe there was a perception that Deontay could be like a receiver too. That he was good enough
yeah.
to be a top 20, 25 receiver. I think that time is past. He's not that guy. The guy doesn't score any touchdowns. He just flat out.
Maybe I think it's gonna be a vice versa. I mean, Pickens. It's either gonna be Pickens gonna be the wide receiver one, or is it gonna be Deontay the wide receiver number one? So
Or
it all.
Pat Fryermuth is the number one. He should be a damn receiver. Both better than both these guys. Tired of talking about this. I'm talking. You know what? Jay. Can we talk about your boy
hold
Najee Harris here?
hold on,
That's
hold
the
on.
guy I like. Sorry.
I just wanted to say, Deontay actually had 26% of the target share. Pickens had about 15% of the target share. Pickens was actually doing the work compared to Deontay Johnson, because Pickens was actually a top 24, 41% of the time. Um, he was a wide receiver for maybe 52% of the time. So Pickens, with him getting the little bit of targets, he was actually accumulating more. He was a little bit more valuable in those aspects when it came to target
Yeah,
wise. With the
that's quite a bit.
minimum targets he was getting, he was maximizing on what he was doing with the ball.
Yeah, that's 30. Yeah, that's like 36% different. Yeah, I would say so. I don't know. Yeah, some of the rankings, some of these places, Fantasy Pros, like I said, I like a lot, but I don't know how the hell you could put Deontay Johnson over George Pickens. George Pickens is unquestionably their number one receiver.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pathetic. Deontay is pathetic. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. 5%. Oh God. Oh no.
Here's the crazy part. Deontay was targeted 18 times in the red zone, 0 touchdowns, and then Pickens was targeted 7 times in the red zone and actually had 2 red zone targets or touchdowns in there. So it just goes, yeah. So yeah, it just goes to show. Um, I just wanted to look here quick for the wide receiver wise. Oh, they have Allen Robinson.
No. Oh God.
So maybe Robinson will be the
nightmare
number.
here. You're talking about all these Steelers receivers that are junk.
Yeah.
They're-
Well,
God.
maybe Robinson maybe be the number 3 guy, and Akeem Butler. He was a washed up guy that was drafted by the Cardinals. Went to CFL for a year. Went to the XFL this last year, and then he got signed with the Steelers. Probably won't make any noise. So I just know the body for them to toss to. Even though I mean Akeem's a 6'5" tall athlete, but yeah, that kind of gives the rundown of all these Steeler wide receivers. So is so here's the future thing. Will Pickens be the number 1 guy going ahead of Deontay in drafts? So that's gonna be the key right there.
Your answers better be yes. There better be a consensus of yes, because
Yeah.
Jay, it just got a whole lot colder in here. Oh
Hmm.
God, oh God. Talking about Allen Robinson. What is trade for 1-on-1? Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Here we go. Yeah, I'll trade you straight up, Donovan. Laquan Treadwell, Laquan Treadwell for Allen Robinson. How about
yeah,
that?
there we go. So for before we get let's get to our last one here with Najee. I just wanted to just um get in the whole picking thing and whatnot, so everybody kind of understood all that fun jazz. But yeah, Najee Harris. Eli had him as his number one overall. Um, Najee actually finished
Thank you.
in his rookie year. He actually finished fourth, which crazy of me. When we had our keeper draft that year before, I drafted him first overall. Just
I
drafted
remember
him
that.
first
I
pick.
remember.
Yeah, didn't do anything. Next thing you know, he ended up being number four overall. Last year he was actually number 14th, so he kind of dipped last year a little bit. And I know he had some injuries in there too as well last year a little bit as well. He was kind of I think he missed a few games. I think he had some toe issues or something like that. Can't remember exactly offhand, but yeah, Najee was he finished even though last year was kind of a dip for him, he actually finished top 24 58% of the time. So he was not bad as most would say.
He's
Um,
reliable. You could stick him. That's another guy you stick in the lineup every week.
yep,
RB1, RB1 some weeks, most of the time RB2, but you can
yep,
trust. He's
yep,
reliable. 58%. That's enough for me. Yep,
yep.
every
I
week.
mean,
You don't ever bench him. Don't. I wouldn't even
yeah.
trade him. He's right where he should.
I mean, unless somebody, especially in dynasty, maybe it might be a little bit different if you want to get off. And I banked my whole Najee graphic with you know it should be EEE, not IA. So there's
It's part
something
of your
that.
charm. It's okay. It's okay. It's part of the charm.
Yeah, there we go. People are gonna
You
like.
call Fryermuth Meyermuth. It's okay. It's part of the charm. And any of you clowns hating out there, you're gonna get some of the dude here. I look like a mix
Mm.
between the dude from the Big Lebowski and what's that, Mr. Freeze from Batman.
Yeah.
If they fused and had a love baby, that'd be me.
Oh,
But
good
yeah,
gravy.
don't mock his spelling. It's okay.
Ugh.
Anyways,
As some would say, my Jamie language, I'm
Jamie language.
special.
Yep, yep.
But Najee actually was, he finished kind of RB2 ish, 42% of the time. So that's kind of between 13th and 24th. So I mean, him finishing under the top 25 was 29%. So he was kind of borderline. So there was games he would actually have some good games, some bad games. But I mean, overall, I mean, this guy's in top 24 a good majority of the time. So I mean, and then I just seen something with Jalen Warren kind of being played in the mix too as well. So I mean, he was a rookie last year, so I'm sure he'll see a little bit of some of those carries as well. So
I
they'll
think
kind of probably mix a little bit of that in there too.
I was gonna say quick, Jay. They actually have Jalen Warren as a tier 6 running back, probably in the 50 range. Which is maybe. I mean, like if you're in a deeper league, 20-man league, he could probably be a backup on your bench. I mean, Jalen Warren's pretty good. He filled in for Najee for a little bit and had some decent production. So that's another guy to keep an eye on. He would be my sleeper in this offense. I like Jalen Warren,
Yeah.
and
But
this
yeah,
is
I see. As you can see, as some projections down there, I see Najee hitting about 1,000 some yards. Kind of those were his last year projections or last year's stats. Sorry, but yeah, I see him hitting maybe about 1,000 yards. Maybe 8 touchdowns, give or take. Couple
about
of
what he did
receiving,
last
yeah,
year.
couple of receiving touchdowns in there too as well. So I think his target, well, his I think his attempts might be, maybe close to 300, maybe possibly, because he's a big bruiser. It all depends too what they want to do, So I mean, maybe might close to 300. Maybe Warren will take away some of that too as well to keep him fresh too. So it all depends too.
so fresh and clean.
But yeah, man,
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
that's kind of
yeah, yeah. You
Najee
know
was
what?
actually.
I've had enough of the Steelers.
Yep. Najee was actually when they did get in the red zone, he actually had 5 attempts and he did have 4 touchdowns in the red zone as well. So he's kind of valuable when you get to the red zone.
Yeah, especially if Pickett's, and like we were saying with if Pickett's only gonna have a certain cap through the air, if he can get some of those sneak touchdowns and if not, I mean they'll go to Najee or like we were talking about Jalen Warren. There's a couple different ways that the Steelers can get some goal line action, and not that's good. I didn't know he had four goal line or red zone touchdowns. So yeah, he's
Yeah,
a
man.
bruiser. He's not Dalvin Cook. He doesn't rip off 60-yard runs. But
Yeah, I was.
I've been waiting. That just so commercial Diggle. I sure as hell was, Donovan. You damn right.
I think I wrote. So Najee, in 2022, he only had 100 yards. In 2021, he actually had 300 yards. So, so last year he only had 100-yard game last year. So maybe he can get 200-yard games in there, which would be kind of nice for some of us guys in there. But yeah, I mean, yeah, Donovan. Yes, Eli does his own thing. You know that. So hopefully baseball. Did your boys win tonight? Did you guys
all
lose?
the way.
So now the best for last.
I've been waiting.
Who they?
I've been waiting.
Who?
I'm about to warm up. Oh God. Yeah.
So. Oh. Who they? Who they? Bengals.
Much better.
Here we go.
Much better. Yes. Finally a team that has some weapons. Yes. Waiting for this.
Weapons? What kind of weapons?
Weapons, you say? Jamar Chase, number 1 or number 2, tomato, wherever the hell you want it. Him or Jefferson. It's a coin toss. They're both A1A. This guy went number 1 in Jamie's 12-man mock draft that he just did. I mean, there's every reason for that. This guy's all world. This guy is he might be the best player in the NFL. I mean, he makes that big of a difference. He really does. And he's going to put up monster stats. Guy, he talks every year about putting 2,000 yards up. I wouldn't put it past him. I mean,
him and Jefferson. Yep, both of them.
Him and Jefferson, they're both on the move for 2,000. So but in my honest projections, he stays healthy full season. I think 1,700 yards, which is still a damn good season.
Yeah.
Double-digit touchdowns. I mean, what you'd expect from Jamar Chase. The guy distributing it. Oh, go ahead, Jay.
Oh no, I was just saying. Yeah, I was just agreeing with you.
The guy distributing the ball, Mr. Joe Burrow. The Tiger King himself. Gonna have another monster season. They have him ranked at number 5, behind Lamar and Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes. Jay was arguing, he might be above Lamar. I think so too. I think he's number 4. I think Lamar should be at 5 on that ranking because Burrow's gonna put up close to 40 touchdowns. He's gonna put up over 4,000 yards. Just gonna tear it up.
Yeah,
and he's got his other best man, arguably the best number 2, according to Jamie from last week. When we were talking Dolphins with Tim, according to Jamie, Higgins Chase best 1-2 combination in the league, and it very well might be. Like I said, I like Waddle and Hill, but I mean this might be the best. Higgins number 12. He's a low end tier 2 receiver for a reason, and this guy is an absolute stud. Anywhere else in the league, just about he'd be a number 1. So basically, you have 2 number 1 receiver. I mean, good luck with that. And then Tyler Boyd's no slouch himself. He'd get an honorable mention here. He's been a damn good, reliable receiver for quite a while now. Joe Mixon, I put him here. I put him here as out of respect for the seasons he's put up. I don't know how much he has going forward, and I didn't get any confirmation, about Chase Brown, who's the rookie that is my sleeper here. I'll talk about in a second, and Jay's got a graphic for him too. But Mixon, just his productivity, they still have him as probably a top 15, top 17 running back, which if he's healthy, that sounds about right. But I know he's got some off the field shit that he's dealing with, and just age too. I mean, he's getting up there. I think he's 28. Somewhere in that.
So, Mixon is 28, I believe.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, with Dalvin.
No, he's 26.
He's 26. Okay, he's a little younger than I thought. Okay. But yeah, it's still he's been valuable for them, but there's a lot of nonsense that I'm not a fan of. I'm not a fan of Joe Mixon. I know our
Yeah.
friend Buddy's had him in his league for a couple years. He swears by him, but not a big Joe Mixon guy.
Yeah, me neither.
And at number 5, you know what? I Tyler Boyd, I just couldn't pull the trigger on because I mean
Why not? Why
three
not?
three receivers is a lot. It's a lot, I say. But Irv Smith, that was a deceptively good signing. I think he had potential in Minnesota. He was just hurt a lot. If he can stay healthy, Irv Smith might be a sleeper tight end, like a 7-8 touchdown kind of guy. I mean, he is a sleeper. Like I said, the Vikings were high on him. He was starting over Conklin for before injuries took over in the last few years. He's kind of been under the radar. But when he has played, he's had some decent games. I don't know if Jay's got some stats on Irv Smith, or we can look that up, or if anybody in the comments has anything on Irv Smith. But this is just my initial impressions. But yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if Irv Smith, I have him ranked number 23 right now. I wouldn't be shocked if he was a top 15 tight end by season's end. Like he has a top half tight end kind of season because of who's distributing the ball to him. I mean, Kirk Cousins is one thing, but when you got all-world Joe Burrow there, and Chase Brown, rookie sensation, 5th-round pick, I think he's going to be another one of those like mid to late round picks that just booms. Joe Mixon pulling some of his nonsense. I would say by 2024, like if you're in a dynasty draft or even a year to year, he might have some value towards the end of the season. I would look highly into Chase Brown because you'll be getting a return on that probably his second season. Chase Brown's going to be a damn good running back. Go ahead, Jay. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just looking at the tight ends because they had was it Hurts or the kid for
Hurst, Hayden Hurst.
Yep, Hayden Hurst.
Yep, they got rid of him. Yep.
Yep. So he was their main. I was just kind of looking at the roster quick, and yeah, I mean, Irv Smith is probably be the guy who's actually going to come in and take over that because I was looking at a couple of these other guys, Drew Sample and Tanner Hudson. They've been there for a couple of years now, and they honestly really didn't do anything really. So I mean, every once in a while they might have a toss a tight end in there when they're probably closer to the red zone, but probably majority of the time it looked like they had just one tight end on the field because they have so many goddamn weapons there. They don't need 2 tight ends on the freaking
you need 2 tight ends when you got 3 or 4 receivers that can go.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, Eric. Eric said signing the LT Orlando Brown was huge for their O-line. Yeah. Yeah. I kind of mentioned I was going to try to write down a few things. And earlier, Donovan says tonight was 2 practices, 12U and 10U for this upcoming weekend. Tournaments in the tournament in Milwaukee. So that sounds like a hell of a time over there, Donovan. Oh, but yeah. Other than that, I probably would have put Boyd at the end of this, the number 5. I like Boyd a little bit. I think Boyd's a little underrated. It was a couple years ago that they almost had 3 wide receivers with 1,000 yards, which would have been totally awesome. Boyd ended up finishing with like 891 yards or something like that. So he was like 100 some odd yards short of 1,000 yards the year before.
And that's following year, that's their number 3 receiver, Jay. We're not talking. Yep. I mean, most of these teams we're talking 891. I mean, the Ravens, that'd be like the number 1. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when you talk about Tyler Boyd, anywhere else he'd be a number 2, and I said with Higgins, he'd be a 1. Just about any other team.
Yep.
Just the depth that they have.
So the Bengals, they are the number 15th offense overall last year.
That's shocking.
Yeah, it is.
Maybe it's the running game, or maybe some of these like lesser teams are just jacking up the stats. But that's crazy to me. I mean, I would have, if you'd have told me like just guessing, I would have said a top 6 or 7. Yeah, like, that's crazy that they were the 15th.
Yeah. Pass yards, they are number 6.
That makes sense.
And passing yard or rush yards, they were actually 29th. So they were awful.
Joe. I'm not a Joe Mix. And not all that's on him because they don't have a lot of. I mean, they had P. Ryan last year.
Yep.
Who we thought maybe could have jumped Mixon. I mean, Mixon, he was spotty sometimes, and I'm not. Yep. That's why I think Chase Brown can get to him. I think any other garbage goes down, I think Chase Brown could be the feature back. And
Yep.
they're not meant to. I know that's not their strength, but like Eric was talking about, they just signed Orlando Brown to be the left tackle. He's a stud. So I mean, they're
Yep.
trying to gradually improve that offensive line so that they can
Yep.
run and actually win a Super Bowl, which I think they can do. But and
But
improve
yeah,
go ahead.
yeah. So they were they're pass. So they actually passed 62% of the time. They rushed 22% of the time, and they targeted tight ends 15% of the time. So you can kind of give or take to kind of see where they were kind of lying towards. With them being passing yards being 6 overall, they were pass heavy. With a little bit of the rush in there, tight ends was somewhat kind of involved, but not the greatest. You had Hayden Hurst, who is an award-winning tight end in my eyes. He never really stood out. I mean, he's pretty much a double
The
digit
reason why
kind of
he's been on
guy.
3 teams now.
Yeah. Joe Burrow in 2021, he was actually the eighth quarterback in fantasy points overall. Last year, he was actually number 4th. So I mean, in his rookie year, he ended up finishing.
Yeah,
He was 25th. But so
he's
he was
going
a top
this way. Hayden Hurst is going this way.
going downwards. So Joe Burrow
Going down.
was a top 12 quarterback 68% of the time. And then Jesus, it's crazy. He was a number 2 50% of the time. Then he was actually a kind of QB3 18% of the time, and then kind of QB2 kind of like 25th top 25 after kind of 31% of the time. So it kind of give or take on where he landed in that week projection, as far as week wise, points wise anyways. So good majority of the time he's in the top 12, good majority of the time.
Yeah. There's no
Yep.
QB1, no question. Not
Yep.
Mahomes, but I mean, this guy's damn close.
Yeah, and which I like, which I kind of think he's a little bit better than Jamar Jackson. So
yeah, absolutely. And Pete, you're gonna get Burrow where he should be. I mean, Mahomes, people will overdraft because he's Patrick Mahomes, and they have every right to. But like some of these other guys, like Lamar Jackson, people are gonna blow their load. Oh, he's healthy, he's got his money, and we were talking him up a little bit earlier too. But I think there's better value where you can get Joe Burrow in any kind of draft.
Yep.
You startup dynasty keeper. 12-man, 16-man, they're different. You're gonna get your bang for your buck.
Yep.
You're not gonna overdraft him. You're not gonna do anything stupid.
Yep. Before we get to Chase, I got a few other things here. With Chase and Higgins, Jamar was actually in 2021 he was 5th overall for fantasy points. 2022 he actually finished 12th. Even though he missed 5 games, he came back, just tore it up. So in 2022 he actually had 400-yard games, which is totally awesome. Anybody's gonna love that. In 2021 he actually had 300-yard games and actually 200-yard games. So you can see that he just in 2021 he just tore it up. In 2022 he actually he missed 5 games and still finished in the top 12 fantasy point wise, which is this is astounding to me. And he still freaking reached 1,000 yards for missing 5 games. So this just blow my mind. So top 24. 58% of the time. So, and he wasn't even a wide receiver for like top 25, like 25% of the time. So, I mean, you can tell he was top 25 and up. Boom.
And this is what can Chase do for you? They got a lot of Chase going on in this team,
right?
But this is why we talked up Chase Brown, with a 5th round running back out of Illinois. But I mean, look at these stats. I mean, over 1,600 yards.
Yeah, this is all of his college stats. I know you want to talk about this guy, but I got a few more things here, man. We're deep. We're doing this deep dive.
Getting worked up here.
I know you're getting worked up, but you got to calm down, buddy. You got to get a relaxer up in there. No, I'm just kidding. T. Higgins actually he had 400 yard games last year. In 2021 he actually had 100-yard games as well. So you could tell that Higgins, he's an elite number two. I don't think there's a number. Well, you can maybe say Waddle up in there, but I would take Higgins over Waddle as far as a legit number two guy.
Devontae Smith from the Eagles, but he's not on that
Yeah.
level either. There's some damn good
Higgins,
number twos, but yeah, this might be the best.
Yep. Higgins was actually a top 24 56% of the time.
Yeah,
So even when Chase was injured, Higgins came in and
knocked it
he
out of the
came
park.
yeah, pretty much more than likely. I mean, he finished the wide receiver 4 maybe 31% of the time. So very often that he's down in the under the top 25. So overall, between those two, Chase had 29% of the targets, and Higgins had 18% of the targets. So even with the little percentage, the target share, Higgins was actually doing taking the shares he was getting and then maximizing what he could with all the targets he was getting. But
yeah, and you look at like Stephon Diggs from Buffalo, or some of these guys that are clear number ones that get number one level targets, they're at about 25%.
Yeah,
like these number one clear cut. So yeah, the Bengals. I mean, yeah. If Higgins was if Higgins was getting 25 or Chase was getting 25, just imagine what they'd be doing. They have to share with each other.
Yeah.
I mean,
and especially when so when they get to both of these guys when they got into the red zone, Chase was seeing 26 targets. He had 5 red zone touchdowns. Higgins saw 12 red zone targets, and he actually had 4 red zone touchdowns. So. So they had their weapons. They had pick and choose wherever they wanted to go. I mean, these guys are tall, so I mean, they'll jump for the ball and get some touchdowns. So, but you want to talk about Chase Brown?
Yeah, yeah. Steele, 5th round pick. Steele, transferred to Illinois. Had like I said, solid college career. I think he's going to be even better in the NFL. I think people are sleeping on him, and like I said, with the Mixon situation, I think he jumps him. I think if not by this season, by 2024, they're not gonna keep paying Joe Mixon. Like declining production, attitude problems. Joe Mixon's a dead man walking. Even if he gets through this season, he'll be out the door. And this is the heir apparent. It's not P. Ryan, who maybe if the Bengals had re-signed, it might have been P. Ryan. But yeah, it's gonna be Chase Brown.
Yeah.
What?
Chase
do for you.
So Chase Brown in his college year, he played 10 games. He had 1,000 yards. He was averaging about 5.9 yards per carry. He had a nice 80-long touchdown in 2021. He had 5 touchdowns, 1 fumble. In 2022, he saw 320. He saw 328 attempts, 1,600 yards rushing last year. And then he actually, he had 10 touchdowns, and he fumbled 4 times last year. So he fumbled a little bit, so not as bad, but he tore it up last year. I had him on my college fantasy teams. I was just like, boom.
I remember you turned me on to him, and I was like, when we were doing the running backs, that was a guy you were like, hey, you should have made one, because we were talking about Charbonnet. A-Chain, a lot of the Bijan, a lot of the stud rookies. But yeah, there's so many good rookie running backs in this draft that you down the line you find a Chase Brown. I mean, that's how good, in my opinion, that's how good this running back draft was.
I mean, and the other guy.
So that defeats these guys that want to get paid like Josh Jacobs and Saquon. It's like you can get just great value in the 5th round. I mean, and these guys want 10, 12, $15 million a year. They're crazy. But go ahead, Jared. I just want to get that in there.
Yeah, the other guy I was going to say is Gray, the guy that you drafted at the end of the year from he went to the Giants. He was in Oklahoma
Gray's
last year.
Be a solid back too. Yeah.
So I mean, I had these 2 guys on my fantasy teams last year.
Keaton Mitchell wasn't even drafted. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I actually had Keaton Mitchell on my fantasy team too as last year, and he just straight up. I'm like, I was stacked. I was, man. I tore it up, but I think I lost in the college playoffs, but I don't remember exactly offhand, but it was fun. I mean, I had Drake Mays as my quarterback and whatnot. So I mean, it was a lovely time. It was totally great.
Can't wait till he comes out. Next year we'll be touting him. He'll be like the
I'll be talking
Bears quarterback or Bucks quarterback or something.
Yep. So hopefully, maybe I think my first pick, wherever I landed, it's gonna be Drake Mays, totally first pick. Then I'll go running backs and whatever, yada 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 after that. But Drake Mays is totally coming back to my team next year. But I
That
just
was
want to say his usage
yeah, baby.
was
UNC. Do you have
yeah
any other? Oh, go ahead. Do you have any other?
I just want to say his usage in college was he had 44, pretty much was used 44% of the time and about 65%. So he pretty much took up a good majority of all their attempts when he was in college. 44% of the time and then 65%. So I mean, so toward, this last year he was getting bulk of the carries. He was their workhorse down in Illinois last year, and it shows and it tells. I mean,
It was.
1600 yards. I mean that's kind of chump change, when you think about it in college. I mean, try to do that in the NFL. You're no more likely not going to happen. All-purpose
Yeah,
yards, scrimmage
I get,
yards, maybe, but you get
yeah, but
1600
not
yards running,
the hard
not
way.
not happening. Not
Yeah, exactly.
happening.
And this isn't this wasn't like some small conference. The FCS. This was this was like legit Big Ten. This guy's putting up over 1600 yards in the Big Ten. Where you got Ohio State, you got Michigan, Iowa, Wisconsin, a lot of good programs. Michigan State. And this, he's fine. You're gonna thank us for this. You're gonna be like, wow, thank you guys for Chase Brown. He's sitting nicely on 2024 when he's putting up 1100 yards for the Bengals next year. You're like, wow, where'd he come from? You heard it here first. Do you have
Yes, sir.
any more football left in you, Jay?
I wanted to try to find one more thing here quick that's if I can figure out how to do it quick.
Yeah.
Yes, but as far as that, Mixon, kind of whatever. I don't care too much about Mixon. I has a few stats on him, but other than that, he finished top 24, 64% of the time. So he was hit and miss too last year. So yeah,
Those are good percentages. You're going to put him in the RB2 range, which is where he belongs. He's still productive. I don't know. I've just never been. He doesn't wow me at all. CMC. When he's healthy, CMC will wow you.
yeah,
Saquon wows you.
yeah. So
Joe Mixon
we so last
is just
yeah.
kind of
So last week, I did a poll.
there.
Okay. Boom, boom, boom. Pop this off here real quick. So I did a poll here quick with who do you love in AFC East for to be top rusher? We actually had 23 votes. Yeah, Brees Hall, James Cooks, Marine Mostert, and Amandre Stevenson. As you can see, you can kind of see who the leader is here. You got Brees Hall at 43%, both Cooks and Mustard at 13%, and Stevenson at 30%.
About who we expect. Yeah, it's going to be between Stevenson and Hall.
Yep.
Absolutely. Rondé Stevenson's a beast. Tim.
Yeah. So I just. Yeah. So I wanted to kind of give a quick view on this quick before we got up out of there, just to translate what we were talking about last week, so that people can see what was kind of going on. So I'll probably do this next week too. I'll probably put out another poll, and then I'll bring this up too as well. So so probably do the same thing. Maybe do wide receivers or one of the running backs. I haven't made up my mind yet, but I'll put this out there. And I just wanted to kind of put that out there, and thought it was kind of interesting. A lot of people were on Brees Hall having the better season over Stevenson. So thanks to the Twitter world. So
yes. We'll be sure to do that poll next week. And you know what show would be complete without the Book of Eli? Okay. What?
Donovan says the poll should have been 100% Stevenson.
There's a lot of Stevenson fans. He's an animal. There's a lot of guys on Stevenson. No way he jumps.
Yep, and Donovan says no way Joe jumps this year, but next year sure.
Yeah, yeah. You're right. Like I said, I'm thinking 2024. I'm thinking like he has more value in a dynasty. Not kind of he's not like a top 3 guy where you're gonna have a keeper league, not so much. But 2024, I mean, this is a guy to look out for. And like I said, in the rookie dynasty draft that me and Jamie did, the mock draft, like dude, there's value to be had with him. I'm high. I'm real high. But anyways, let me get to this. This is kind of an issue that's been around for, a little bit now, and I'm just touching on it. There's a couple other things that I could have went into. I could have went into the Vegas Golden Knights winning their first Stanley Cup, the Nuggets winning their first NBA championship, and both are great stories. Live Golf merging with the PGA. So there's some other big stories in sports, but this one kind of hit close to home. Jamie's a Blue Jays fan, and we talk about baseball. That's kind of our secondary topic on Out of Rhythm, and Jay's got his opinions on this, and I'll just talk about mine. So basically, what happened was Anthony Bass, who is a relief pitcher from the Blue Jays, he uploaded a video to his Instagram about a month ago. Basically, he wanted people to boycott Target and Bud Light because of some of the trans issues, and he's a father himself, and just concerned for his family, and I guess he's a Christian, believes in the Christian faith, and so I understood all that, but he ended up being released, basically designated for assignment, and I don't see there's no way, and I don't even know if another team's going to touch him because his stats weren't that good. He had a damn good 2022, and maybe Don can chime in too. No, he's not a closer. He's not a starting pitcher. He's not a big name that you're going to know. I mean, no, he's not Clayton Kershaw. He's not Garrett Cole. Any big name pitcher like that. But had a really good season with the Marlins and Blue Jays last season. ERA was great. Strikeout percentage, all that good stuff, but he's kind of been struggling this year. So I think that had to factor in with why he was released. I mean, it's bad. It's bad for the, because it was for Pride Night. I mean, they're trying to kind of work that in, and in Canada, they're more, they're more accepting, I guess, up there. And it's a different environment. And, he ran his mouth and basically lost his job. And it'd be the same thing if I was running my mouth at Southern, if Jamie was running his mouth, at his cleaning company, we might be facing the same things. You're not exempt because you're a $3 million pitcher, and people might think I would side with him, but no, I think he, dude, you went out of your way to go on Instagram. You wanted attention. Same thing if he went on Twitter, if he had gone on Facebook, if he had gone any social media outlet. It's one thing for me to like, me and Jay are friends. Like, if I want to tell Jamie this stuff in private, like my true feelings or his true feelings, or with another friend of ours, or his wife or whatever, that's the privacy of your own home. This guy let it out to the world, and now you got to face the consequences. And I'll see what Jay has to say. But yeah, when you're a mediocre middle relief pitcher pulling this nonsense, when you're creating a distraction, he's not Bo Bichette. He's not Vlad Jr. He's not one of the stars of this team that's going to help the Blue Jays get to the playoffs and try to win a World Series. He's not. He's been struggling middle relief guy. It's like, you can't get away with that. I mean, maybe if it was Bo Bichette and he came out and apologized, everything will be okay because he's a superstar. He I don't know. What do you think, Jay?
I don't know. From what I heard, it was something along, he was on airlines. I know this might have been a different story too. I just seen something like he took the Instagram about his wife being pregnant, like 22 weeks pregnant.
Oh yeah, that was the story. Yeah, basically, like I know about that story. I'll kind of help you here with that. So they picked.
Yeah.
So his wife was pregnant, and basically they were just kind of being entitled, like on a plane. Like, oh, they should have picked. I think they dropped something, and his wife's pregnant, and I think they have another kid or two, small kids, and I guess they wanted the flight attendant to pick it up for her, or they made it up. Basically, they made it his pregnant wife pick it up herself, and they were kind of they just, I know it's that age where, because we're in that age group too, where everybody goes to social media with everything. But it's like when you look dumb, when you look entitled, when you look like, when you're making $3 million a year, and there's guys like us that are slaving away for nothing. It's just it's a bad look, dude. And it looks like you're bitching on social media like a little girl. That's how I feel.
Yeah, and that's what I was just going to say too. I read that, and I'm just kind of like, dude, don't take the Instagram about some popcorn and your wife. Honestly, in my eyes, you should have just left the damn popcorn. That's what they have. That when the plane gets down on the ground, they have all people. They have their, people, their flight attendants that go through, and they'll probably end up cleaning up everything afterwards. Should have just left it. and not even took into freaking the Instagram over what, popcorn on the freaking floor.
Yeah,
She should
and
have just stayed in her seat.
look like a
Yeah.
jackass, look like a complete jackass, and then your comments here, like I said, you want to tell your buddies at the bar, you want to tell your buddies at your house, or your text your mom or friend or wife, all that's all private. But when you put shit out like us, like if somebody came after me for something I said or something Jay said, we take that responsibility because this can get out. This is open to the public. Like this is a
Oh yeah.
public domain. Like our stream is a public domain. He took it to a public domain. Nobody forced him to go to Instagram with this crap. Nobody forced him to go to Facebook or to make videos. Dude, you brought this on yourself, and now you got to face consequences. No other team is going to touch him. I feel. I don't know. Like I said, I was hoping Donovan might, if he's still around, if Donovan,
Yeah,
would chime in.
yeah, he's still here.
Like, what do you guys think of Anthony? Yeah, yeah. I'm
So
with Donovan.
yeah, so Donovan says, let's put it this way. I purchased Bass and the salary cap dynasty startup this year. His contract was the first one I bought out because he wasn't performing. And yeah, I mentioned in the Discord too, and one of the other guys, Ben, he kind of elaborated on this a little bit too as well, that this isn't his first time like out trying to be outspoken and looking shitty in the public, so it's just kind of like, I mean, in my eyes, just leave the mess on the ground. That's what flight attendants would do afterwards, not during mid-flight or whatever, or saying, "Oh, you have to pick this up." Just leave it there. Leave it.
Creating a scene. And
Yeah.
his wife, remember Jesse James Decker, the country pop singer. So that's her sister. And remember Eric Decker, the old Broncos receiver.
Yeah.
So that's his brother. So I mean, they're kind of a celebrity family, I guess. Like sports family, sports music family. So maybe they think they're entitled. Maybe they think they're entitled to things. They're celebrities, and just get out of here. You know what, dude?
I want to be a celebrity.
Go back to double. I want to be a celebrity. I want to get that kind of treatment, but like, go back to Double A, because that's where you're going to go with ERA pushing 5, and some of the crappy performances he's been putting out this year. It's like guy had one elite season last year as a middle relief. He wasn't even a closer. It's not like he had a 40 save season or he was a starting pitcher putting up 18 wins or something where there's like, and Donovan just laid it out perfectly. It's like he was a random, good middle relief guy that was on my team that I cut because he wasn't performing. That's how people probably felt about Bass. He at 35, nobody's touching him again, dude. You cut, and he probably could have stayed in the league another couple years. You know what I mean? Like, found it, if he had just kept his mouth shut, he could have collected that $3 million for a couple more years, set his family up for generations, set his family up for life. Yeah, and now you're out of work, moron.
Yep. So this is pretty much. Yep. So
doesn't get it.
So the gist of it is, they want to maybe try to trade him before they want to try to trade him before they actually have to release him, if all possible. From the sounds of it, they had him try to do it. Well, yeah, I know. Yep. But yeah, just the gist of it, that if all possible, try to trade the guy. If not, then they'll have to release him. Is more likely as to what's going to happen. But yeah, I mean, other than that, if he didn't want to, say he is sorry and for all the comments he did, but he took down one of the Instagram posts or whatever. But
right.
when you don't want to say you're sorry for your own up to your own mistakes, and then it's like the team's got to do something of their own to recite all this mess.
They were joking. It looked like a hostage video, like the cartel. Or somebody was like holding gun, like, oh, it was like a fake. Everybody knows it's a fake apology, dude. It's like, you put the spotlight on yourself. You went on, like I said, you brought this on yourself. You put this out to the public domain, and now maybe somebody desperate for some middle relief will trade for him.
Yeah,
and then he'll pitch another 20 innings the rest of the season, and then go back into obscurity because that's where he was before. Nobody had heard of it. If you didn't watch baseball, you weren't a hardcore baseball guy. Nobody knew who the hell Anthony Bass was. So he made a name for himself, but in a bad way. Right.
Yeah, pretty much. And that like me, I don't say anything on, especially in Facebook nowadays. Don't say anything that you're going to regret. That's why honestly, I never post on Facebook. I don't let people know what the hell I'm doing. Why? I mean, I'll say what I want to say behind social media. It's kind of like, keep yourself out of trouble, less drama that way, and just say your opinions not in the non-social wise way. So yeah. Um, Before we get up out of here, Donovan says, oh,
And I'll get to this, and I'll close the book out.
yeah. Donovan says there's
Yep,
hundreds
that's
of
fine.
players
Go ahead.
waiting to do what he wants, what he could
Yeah,
do. Yeah, there is. I mean,
easily. There,
yeah.
there are guys right now in probably single and double A that can do what he's doing. In triple A, there's more productive, younger, cheaper guy. Yeah, dude, you're done. And now he's got a tarnished name. It's like you're done. Anybody trading for him is desperate. I mean, like reeking of desperation to bring this guy in with the, it's like he had one year wonder, where he conned, guys like Donovan and everybody else into like, okay, I'm gonna dynasty, or I'm gonna draft this guy or whatever. It's like, dude, you're an average middle relief pitcher. Sorry, you don't get away with, we don't get away with this in our life. You don't get away with it in yours. And you know what, Jay? You know what? He might be the cap. He ain't gonna be Kaepernick. Kaepernick's actually making money. Like Kaepernick's actually doing well for himself. With his whole. I don't agree with him either, but
yeah,
we closed that book. We did.
Well, maybe Bass can go play with the A's. They need some help down there, so maybe he can go help the A's win some more games.
They're a joke, dude. Did you see their attendance? Like, I'm not sure what I just saw a picture online of one of their home.
Yeah, they had like
games.
20.
It's a joke.
20
they just go to Vegas. Just go to Vegas.
Yeah, they had 27,000 people there last night and whatnot. It was funny because, the pitcher was trying to pitch and he couldn't even hear the pitch comm. So they had to stop the game for momentarily to try to hear it, see if he can hear the pitch comms and all that stuff. So
it's a joke. That organization's a joke. Just go to Vegas. Be more. Look what happened to the Golden Knights. The Raiders are more interesting now that they're in Vegas. Just go to Vegas. Just get the hell out of Oakland. It's a dumpy stadium. It's a dumpy organization, and they'll probably trade for him. You're right. Bass will be on the waiver wire in July, and it'll say 8K next to him or something.
Yeah. Well, it's been a nice couple hour show. It was supposed to be a half an hour and a half show, but when you're deep diving into these freaking divisions, there's a lot to talk about.
Head first.
Yeah.
Head first into the deep end. That's where we went.
Yeah, there is, so I mean there's quite a bit, so and our next division is going to be the AFC South. I know Eli is probably not too fond of it, but the AFC South is coming next, and I'm sure he's going to probably he's going to be trash.
I gave my word that I would. Half these teams, I'll be honest, I have no interest in talking about, but like I said, we keep to our word. I'll do an honest take on the top 5 players and a sleeper from all 32 teams. AFC South, I'll find some good stuff in there. I like Jacksonville a lot. You know how much I love me some Trevor Lawrence and Evan Ingram and those guys out there. Calvin Ridley's back. I mean, Jacksonville, I'm excited. That's like the Bengals of tonight. I'm excited to talk about Jacksonville, but everybody else, I'm like, especially not the Titans. The Titans are trash. They have no future. But whoops, I blew my load. Look, hey, skip the 15 minutes. We talk about the Titans next week.
Yes, more than likely. Yes, Donovan, appreciate you can actually jump in with us for a little bit toward the end there, and appreciate that you came in, joined us. So, but yeah, make sure everybody
miss you, buddy.
Yeah, we'll have to try to get a baseball show in.
Yeah, let us know, and let us know if you can do a baseball.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, make sure everybody that you join our Discord. Sorry that it's not in the link, but it's in the comment section. That was my fault not putting it in the description.
You know what?
But yeah, make sure you.
It happens. It happens. It's somewhere. So we got to. Yep. We're up. There it is. Bam. Discord. Boom. Right there. Beautiful. Yep. And right. You can rewatch the full episodes because we get long, we get winded. I especially do. I probably could use another beer. But we made it through. You can visit us on Spotify, Google Play, Apple Podcasts, a bunch of different places. I can't stress enough though. Spread it to your friends. That's the only way we can grow it all. It's got to be word of mouth. Like I said, we don't have we don't have the big tech, machine behind us. Like we, or a bunch of sponsors or anything. Like this is all for me and Jamie, from our work and our minds. And so that's the best thing you can do to help out a Rhythm and anybody associated with us is spread the word about Donovan and his page, Tim, the Palazzo guys, like help us out, help them out. But we always appreciate everybody tuning in, man. It's fun. I mean, I get to talk sports with my buddy for a couple hours. This ain't not a bad night.
No, it's not at all. But yeah, make sure you leave us a reviews, wherever you can on Spotify, Google, or Apple as well. Just so that people can reach us there, the algorithms and stuff like that. So the more of the stars, more of the comments, try to get us out there, the more people to catch us wherever they can catch us, So, but yeah, I think that kind of wraps her up, man. So it's been a nice long haul. We wrapped up the AFC North. So next week we'll hit up the AFC South. I know Eli's not too fond of that one, but hey, it is what it is. But
what are you
gonna do? Gotta talk about it.
Yep.
So everybody from Odd Rhythm, I'm Jamie. That's Eli. We will see you probably next Tuesday or next Wednesday. We haven't made up our mind yet. It's gonna be either one of those days. So.
Yep.
We'll see you guys then. Later.
Deuces.